Welcome, dear listener. Imagine yourself reclining comfortably, the gentle weight of a soft blanket around you, as we embark on a tranquil journey across one of history's most legendary routes, the Silk Road. In the hush of the night, we will wander through shifting sands and over distant mountains, tracing the footsteps of merchants and travelers who carried precious fabrics, exotic spices, and whispered secrets between East and West. Tonight's tale, titled Why You Wouldn't Last a Day on the Silk Road More, invites you to drift into a world of warm desert breezes, clinking camel bells, and the muted murmur of marketplaces under starry skies. Let your breathing slow, matching the steady pace of a camel caravan. With each exhale, feel the weight of the modern world ease and fade into the background. In this calming historical voyage, we will first immerse ourselves in the daily routines and rhythms of caravan life, where every grain of sand and every whisper of wind shape the journey. This is our Segment 1, Caravan Life on the Silk Road. As you listen, allow the soft cadence of narration to rock you gently, much like the sway of a loaded caravan crossing the desert. Imagine the dawn light stretching across endless dunes, painting them in hues of gold and rose. You stand beside a row of camels, their humps laden with tightly wrapped bales of silk, sacks of pepper and cinnamon, and earthenware jars of fine oils. The air is cool and faintly scented with spice, but you know that by midday the sun's warmth will roll in like a slow tide, and the sand will grow hot beneath your sandals. The first stirring of activity. As the first rays touch the caravan, you hear a soft murmur, the crackle of leather reins, the low grunt of camels rising to their feet, and the careful footsteps of the caravan master. Imagine yourself, he might say, reaching up to pat a camel's neck, guiding this animal through territories ruled by bandits and sultans alike. Yet in this early hour, the world feels hushed and full of promise, as though even the desert pauses to breathe. Loading the camels. The preparation is methodical. Every bale of silk is pressed and tied with strips of leather. Each sack of spices is secured in wicker baskets. You watch as a pair of handlers whisper to the beasts, coaxing them to stand still while sturdy saddles are positioned and ropes cinched tight. The rhythmic clinking of metal buckles and thrum of distant hoofbeats create a soothing backdrop, almost a lullaby of commerce and adventure. Guarding your spices. Once packed, the precious cargo demands vigilance. You, perhaps a junior member of the party, are entrusted with a satchel of cloves and cardamom, its deep, earthy aroma promising wealth in distant lands. Imagine yourself feeling the weight of that responsibility, the subtle thrill in guarding something so valuable. Each night, you will slip the satchel beneath your blanket, listening for the faint rustle of movement beyond your tent flap. The whisper of desert winds. By mid-morning, the caravan sets off. The camels' padded feet press into fine sand, sending tiny puffs skyward. A breeze rises, carrying whispers across the dunes, stories of distant cities, rumors of war, and tales of mirages. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the soft susurration of wind and sand lull you. Each breath matches the camel's steady rhythm. Inhale, step, exhale, step. It is a gentle, almost hypnotic dance between traveler and desert. Daily rituals along the way. Water is life here. Around midday, the caravan halts at an oasis ringed by date palms, their fronds rustling like hushed voices. You cup cool water in your hands, letting it trickle slowly, savoring each drop. Dates are passed around, their sweetness a welcome respite from dust and heat. You lean against a sun-warmed rock, feeling the grainy surface beneath your fingertips, and close your eyes to the distant sound of dripping water, an oasis lullaby. As the sun dips low, the caravan resumes its march. You watch long shadows stretch behind each camel, a silent procession of travelers bound together by purpose and trust. The guard scouts ride ahead, eyes alert, yet posture relaxed, their horses moving with measured grace. You breathe in the faint scent of wood smoke from their torches, knowing that soon a camp will be set, tents raised, and evening prayers offered beneath a canopy of stars. A gentle close to segment 1, and so you drift through the day's gentle pulse, loading camels, guarding spices, listening to the desert's quiet conversation. As night falls, the caravan's lanterns glow like soft fireflies, guiding you toward a restful pause before tomorrow's miles. Imagine the warmth of embers, the hushed exchange of stories around a low fire, and the comforting presence of companions who share your path. With that, we conclude our first segment. I'm now poised at the brink of our next journey, the remarkable voyage of Marco Polo, from the canals of Venice to the palaces of Xanadu. The journey of Marco Polo. From Venice to Xanadu, trace the calm marvel of long travel. Let us now turn our gaze westward, to the lapping waters of the Adriatic Sea. Picture Venice in the year 1271. The morning is quiet, the canals hushed under a gray, watery sky. A slender boat glides past, its oars slicing the surface with a measured rhythm. A boy of 17, curious, quiet, yet deeply observant, prepares to leave behind the familiar song of gulls and the scent of salt-drenched alleys. This boy is Marco Polo. Imagine yourself on the dock beside him, your belongings packed into satchels of leather and cloth, not knowing when or if you'll return. You're setting off not for a nearby province or neighboring town, but for the very edge of the known world, to the empire of the Mongols, a place whispered of in crowded taverns and sung of in the halls of Genoese merchants. It is a journey that will last over 2 decades, but tonight it begins with a single, quiet farewell. Through the Middle East, the Polo caravan, Marco, his father Niccolo, and uncle Maffeo, moves through Acre, through Armenia, through the Holy Land. At each stop, the faces shift. Olive-skinned traders with quiet eyes, bearded scholars with ink-stained fingers, children selling fruit on dusty roadsides. The journey is slow and steady. There are no maps, only letters from kings, and permission slips penned in elegant Persian or Mongol script. The air grows warmer as they descend into Persia. Here, the heat lies like a curtain across the land. Marco walks beside his horse, the soles of his boots worn thin. At night, the stars stretch endlessly above him, a web of light over a world unknown. You can imagine him lying on his back in the sand, one arm tucked under his head, eyes tracing constellations unnamed in Latin. Crossing deserts. They reach the edge of the Gobi, a vast ocean of silence and heat. For days they see no one. The wind carries only dust and the creaking sighs of pack animals. There are no towns, no rivers, no shade. To travel the Gobi is to learn patience. Each day blends into the next. Slow mornings of preparation, long afternoons of shimmering heat, and quiet nights where even fire feels like an extravagance. But even here, in this emptiness, there is beauty. The dunes sing when the wind is right. The sand feels cool and soft at sunrise. Herds of gazelles sometimes flicker at the horizon like mirages. Marco writes in his mind, or perhaps on parchment, of the endlessness of it all, how the land stretches like thought, unbound. Arrival in Cathay. After months of travel, the world begins to change. Forests appear again, thick with pine and cedar. Rivers swell with meltwater, and birdsong returns to the air. The Polos have reached the edge of the Mongol Empire, known as Cathay in the west. They pass through towns with curved roofs and lanterns hung in rows. The languages shift again, new sounds, new greetings, new silences. And then, finally, the court of Kublai Khan. Not a city in the way Venice is a city, but a grand encampment, a moving capital, dotted with silk tents and wooden palaces. The ground is covered in thick carpets. The air smells of jasmine and roasted meats. Courtiers speak in whispers. Musicians pluck strange instruments. Everywhere, the hum of wealth and curiosity. Marco is presented to the Khan, who looks upon him not with suspicion, but interest. Imagine the quiet tension of that moment, the son of a merchant kneeling before an emperor who commands the largest land empire the world has ever known. Marco, observant and composed, answers questions about the West, about Rome, about trade, about kings, and in return, he listens and remembers. A life of observation. Over the years, Marco travels through the empire at the Khan's request. He visits cities carved into cliffs, ports bustling with junks and dhow boats, and temples humming with incense. He learns languages, collects stories, and quietly watches, always watching. He is neither soldier nor scholar, not quite a diplomat, not quite a trader. He is a witness. Imagine him, riding along a riverbank in Yunnan, the water glowing orange beneath a setting sun, or sipping tea beside a scholar in Hangzhou, the porcelain cup warm in his hands, or standing on the wall of a city under siege, writing not of bloodshed, but of strategy, of rhythm, of consequence. And yet, through it all, he longs for Venice. The return, when the time comes to return, years later, Marco is older, quieter. His voice carries the weight of things seen but not always spoken. The journey home is perilous. Storms batter their ship. Illness sweeps through the crew. But he arrives at last, unrecognizable to some. 24 years have passed. He steps off the boat and smells once again the familiar salt and brick of his childhood, and he begins to tell his story. A gentle close to segment 2. As we leave Marco Polo's journey behind, imagine the feel of his journals, their pages worn soft by time. His tale is not just of empires and roads, but of waiting, of wondering, and of watching. It is a story best told in whispers, over quiet cups of tea, as lanterns flicker low. We now move east, into mystery, into the soft threads of silk itself. Where did it come from? Why was it so precious? What secret did China guard so closely that it changed the world? In segment 3, we will explore the secret of Chinese silk. The secret of Chinese silk smuggled worms, boiling cocoons, and a mystery that changed empires. Let us step now into the misty hills of ancient China, where mulberry leaves rustle in the morning breeze, and a quiet revolution begins, not with war or conquest, but with the hum of caterpillars spinning threads finer than any loom could weave. Tonight, we journey into one of history's most delicately guarded secrets, the origin of silk. A fabric so light it could float on the breath, and yet so precious it moved armies, built cities, and sparked the creation of entire roads through deserts and mountains. As we begin, imagine yourself under the soft shade of a mulberry grove. The leaves are large, slightly waxy, and their scent is faintly sweet, earthy, something between crushed herbs and cool stone. Beneath them, trays of tiny silkworms lie in rows, their pale bodies inching slowly, deliberately, across piles of fresh-picked leaves. The origins of silk. The story of silk begins, as many legends do, with a quiet moment. A cup of tea. A young Chinese empress, perhaps Lezhu as some stories claim, sits beneath a tree, resting in the calm of her garden. Suddenly, a cocoon falls into her cup. The hot water softens it, and as she lifts it out, she sees the fibers begin to unravel, long, shimmering, impossibly fine. She pulls the thread, slowly, carefully, and realizes this could be woven. And so, the legend goes, silk was discovered. Now, whether this tale is true or not hardly matters. What does matter is that, by the 3rd millennium BCE, the Chinese had mastered the art of sericulture, the cultivation of silkworms, and they kept this knowledge as closely guarded as the walls of their imperial palaces. The art of sericulture. Imagine walking through a sericulture house in ancient China. The walls are papered, the light gentle and diffused. The air smells of greenery and damp wood. You pass rows of shelves where trays are stacked, each holding thousands of silkworms at various stages of life. Silkworms are gentle creatures. They feed only on mulberry leaves, and they do so in unison, a soft, rhythmic crunching that fills the room like gentle rainfall. For weeks they eat and grow, and then, one by one, they begin to spin. Each worm produces a single filament, up to a kilometer long, wrapping itself into a tiny, ivory-colored cocoon. These cocoons are gathered carefully and steamed or boiled to loosen the threads. Then, using brushes and practiced fingers, workers gently draw out the strands, winding them onto spools. Even along the Silk Road, those who sold silk knew only the middle steps: the merchants, the handlers, the weavers. Few knew its true origin. The knowledge was held by families, by guilds, by imperial decree, protected, preserved, almost sacred. The smuggling of the secret. And yet, no secret can be kept forever. In the 6th century, 2 monks, travelers from the Byzantine Empire, were said to have made their way into China under the pretense of religious pilgrimage. But they were not merely seekers of wisdom, they were seekers of worms. Legend tells that they returned with hollowed bamboo canes, and hidden within, silkworm eggs and mulberry seeds. The smuggling was quiet, delicate, and deliberate. And when those eggs hatched in Constantinople, the silk monopoly was broken. Imagine the moment. A Byzantine official holding a tiny, pale worm in the palm of his hand, not knowing he held the key to an entire industry. The thread would still take generations to perfect, but the door had opened. The secret had slipped through. The lasting legacy. Even after the secret was out, Chinese silk remained unmatched for centuries. The quality, the dyeing techniques, the artistry. It was a tradition, a culture, not just a product. To wear silk was to wear time itself, each thread spun from days of feeding, boiling, drawing, and weaving. Silk garments rustled softly in royal courts, caught candlelight in embroidered patterns, and whispered luxury with every step. In tombs of Chinese nobility, silk shrouds were found intact after thousands of years, so finely woven that air could pass through, but not water. The thread of silk, once a secret, became a symbol, a link between worlds, a quiet revolution that changed not just fashion, but trade, diplomacy, even geography. A gentle close to segment 3. So now, imagine yourself again beneath the mulberry tree. The sun filters through the leaves. In your hands, a cocoon rests, warm from the sun. You do not speak. You simply pull the thread slowly, gently, and watch as it unravels into possibility. As we leave behind the hush of silk houses and the guarded wisdom of ancient artisans, we come to the final part of our journey, a moment of rest, of warmth, of food and music under an open sky. In segment 4, we will sit beneath the stars at a banquet in a Persian oasis. Banquet in a Persian oasis, soft carpets, spiced stews, and slow music under moonlight. Let us now step into the calm twilight of a Persian desert, where the day's heat fades slowly into soft breezes and golden skies. You are weary from travel, your sandals dusted with the sand of many days, but ahead, just beyond a ridge of warm-colored rock, flickers the gentle glow of lanterns, an oasis, not merely a place of water and date palms, but a haven, one of the many resting places along the Great Silk Road. Traders, pilgrims, and poets alike have gathered here, not just to replenish supplies or mend torn robes, but to pause, to rest, to eat, and to share in quiet company. Tonight, you are welcome here. There is no need to speak, just to listen. Let the atmosphere unfold slowly, like a scroll unrolling under a desert moon. The approach to the oasis. As you near the edge of the oasis, the scents reach you first. Sweet smoke from burning myrrh, warm bread just pulled from an earthen oven, the sharp, comforting aroma of spiced lamb stewing in a heavy bronze pot. Lanterns sway gently on wooden poles, casting soft halos of light across carpets laid over the sand. You are greeted not with ceremony, but with calm acknowledgement. A nod, a hand extended in invitation. There are no walls here, just a wide, circular clearing, ringed with palm trees and low stone benches. In the center, a fire burns low, its crackle blending with the occasional soft bleat of a goat or the murmur of quiet conversation. You sit. The ground is soft beneath the layered carpets, some woven in Persian reds and blues, others threaded with Chinese motifs or Central Asian designs. Around you, travelers recline on cushions, sipping something warm from small ceramic bowls. The banquet begins. The food is brought slowly, deliberately, in courses. First, small dishes of preserved fruits, figs soaked in rosewater, slices of melon, and dates stuffed with crushed nuts. Their sweetness cuts the dryness of the journey, and their textures are soft and familiar. Next comes flatbread, warm and blistered, folded neatly in cloth to stay soft. It is passed around with bowls of yogurt mixed with herbs and cucumbers, cooling to the tongue and soothing to the spirit. Then, from the fire, a heavy pot is uncovered. Inside simmers a rich stew, tender meat falling apart in a sauce of cumin, cinnamon, and dried apricot. It is ladled gently into clay bowls and served with quiet care. You scoop it with bread, feeling the warmth spread through your fingertips. No one rushes, no one speaks above a murmur. It is not a feast of decadence, but one of rhythm, of togetherness, of peace in motion. Music in the night. As the meal fades into slow sipping of mint tea, a musician lifts a setar, an ancient Persian lute, and begins to play. The notes are soft and wandering, like wind moving through reeds. They don't demand your attention. Instead, they invite it, gently. The melody wraps around the night. Other instruments join, perhaps a knee, the breathy reed flute, or a small hand drum, its rhythm slow and measured, like the pulse of a resting heart. Someone hums a verse of poetry, so softly it's almost part of the breeze. A couplet by Rumi, perhaps, or Hafez, words of longing, of return, of the soul's slow unfolding. The stars are now visible overhead, strewn across the sky in wide, open silence. The moon, pale and rounded, reflects gently in the still water of the oasis pool. People of the banquet. Around the fire sit many travelers. To your left, a merchant from Samarkand fingers a silk pouch, his voice low as he speaks of caravans and currencies. He wears a deep blue robe dusted with gold thread. To your right, a woman from Damascus hums to herself, her fingers stained faintly with henna, her eyes lined with kohl. She carries perfumes in tiny flasks, and each one has a story. Across from you, a Mongol horseman leans back, silent, drinking tea. His boots are worn, his face weathered, but his presence is calm, like the earth itself. His journey has been longer than most, yet here he sits, unburdened. No one asks names tonight, only where you've come from, and if the road was kind. There is a mutual understanding that in this place, under this sky, time softens. Differences blur. The language of food, music, and quiet glances says enough. The fire burns low. The night deepens. Someone tends the embers with a metal poker, drawing patterns in the ash. The conversation thins out until only the sounds remain. The occasional shifting of cushions, the soft slosh of tea being poured, the faraway bark of a desert dog. You lie back now, your head on a woven cushion, the scent of saffron still lingering near your lips. Above you, the constellations turn slowly, ancient and unhurried. Sleep comes easily here, among friends not yet named, in a place you've never seen but somehow always known. The banquet is not over. It merely fades into the night, into dreams. A gentle close to segment 4. As we leave this oasis behind, carry with you the warmth of its fire, the softness of its music, and the slow kindness of its people. The Silk Road was not only a path for trade, but for rest, for connection, for shared breath under shared stars. Now, dear listener, we come to the end of our journey, but let us not hurry. In the final conclusion, we'll reflect gently on the tapestry of all we've explored, the rhythm of the road, the marvel of silk, the memory of travelers, and the comfort of return. Conclusion: the rhythm of the road. A quiet reflection on a world stitched together by silence, patience, and time. And now, dear traveler, our journey comes to a gentle end. You've walked among dunes and woven through mountain passes. You've stood beside camels in the early dawn, heard the soft crackle of a fire in an oasis night, tasted spiced stews under moonlight, and watched silk threads unspool like dreams. You've traced the footsteps of Marco Polo and listened for the secrets that traveled in silence across the vastness between Venice and Xanadu. But above all, you've moved to the rhythm of the Silk Road. Not hurried, not loud, but persistent, measured, soft-footed and enduring. It was never just about silk or spices, camels or coin. The Silk Road was a slow thread stitching together distant corners of the world, woven not just from goods, but from glances exchanged at desert wells, from quiet meals shared in shaded courtyards, from lullabies hummed in languages now forgotten. Imagine it now, not as a road, but as a breath. A long exhale stretching from east to west, rising over cold passes and sinking into warm valleys, curling through cities and fading into the open steppe. Even in the face of hardship, sandstorms, thieves, illness, and endless miles, the Silk Road endured. It endured because of patience, because of repetition, because every journey began with a single careful step and continued with thousands more, each one as steady as the last. And perhaps that's why, tonight, this journey was perfect for rest. For like sleep itself, it moved in gentle cycles, from waking to walking, from wonder to weariness, from firelight to dreams. Now, as you lie still, imagine yourself in your own caravan tent. The night outside is cool. The fire has died down to its softest glow. Far away you hear the faint bell of a camel, the rustle of leaves in an oasis breeze, the quiet breathing of others resting beside you. You are safe. You are still. And though the road stretches on beyond the horizon, tonight, you do not need to walk it. Let the ancient rhythm of the Silk Road lull you. Let it remind you that some things are meant to be taken slowly, that some journeys are not measured in distance, but in peace. Sleep well, dear traveler. The road